I remember the night clearly. My 40th birthday. Friends, family, neighbors, all gathered in our house. Balloons tied to chairs. Streamers hanging from the ceiling. Kids running around with cake frosting on their cheeks. Everyone smiling, laughing, drinking. On the outside, it looked like the perfect American celebration. But inside, my stomach was twisting. Because while everyone else thought they were celebrating me, I was preparing to burn my marriage to the ground. My wife stood beside me, arm linked with mine, pretending like nothing was wrong. She played the role perfectly. Smiling wide. Pouring drinks for the guests. Whispering to the kids to behave. People looked at us and probably thought, that's a strong couple. 20 years together and still going. They had no idea. They didn't see what I had seen. They didn't know what I had discovered. It started weeks earlier. At first it was small things. She started hiding her phone at night. Keeping it under her pillow. Turning the screen away from me when it buzzed. She claimed she was just talking with her sister. But I knew better. I've been a firefighter for almost 2 decades. My instincts are sharp. I can smell smoke before anyone else notices the fire. And in my own home, something was burning. Then came the late showers. The endless excuses. Her sudden need to work late even though she never stayed late before. The way she carried herself, nervous, jittery, distracted. And the smell. Perfume I didn't recognize. Not hers. Not mine. Someone else's. I told myself maybe I was paranoid. Maybe I was tired from long shifts. Maybe I was imagining things. But then I found the proof. It was a Sunday morning. She was in the shower. Her purse was on the counter. Normally I never touched her things. But something inside me told me to look. And there it was. A small box. Plan B, emergency contraception. My hands started to shake. My chest tightened. I sat on the edge of the bed holding that box, staring at it, feeling my entire world collapse. You don't buy something like that if you're faithful. Not when we weren't even intimate anymore. Not when she kept pushing me away night after night. That box told me everything. And yet, it wasn't enough. I needed more. So I dug deeper. And I found the messages. Hidden in her phone. Buried under a fake contact name. The words stung worse than any fire could ever burn me. I miss you already. Last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you again. My wife, writing those words. To another man. While I worked overnight shifts saving strangers from burning buildings, she was lighting fires in our own bedroom. I could have confronted her right then. I could have screamed, thrown the phone in her face, demanded answers. But that would have been too easy for her. Too private. Too quiet. No. She wanted to play games in the dark. I was going to drag her into the light. That's when the idea came to me. My birthday. A night where all our closest friends and family would be present. A night where she couldn't lie her way out. A night she would never forget. In the days leading up, I acted normal. I smiled. I laughed. I kissed her on the cheek when others were watching. I wanted her comfortable. I wanted her thinking I was clueless. And she fell for it. She planned decorations. She ordered a custom cake. She invited everyone we knew. She thought she was throwing me the perfect birthday party. But what she really did was build her own stage for destruction. The night arrived. People filled the living room. Music played. Glasses clinked. everyone gathered around me with gifts and good wishes. My wife was glowing, at least on the surface. She whispered in my ear, "Happy birthday, honey." Her voice sweet as sugar. But all I heard was poison. I kept quiet. I played along. I let everyone enjoy themselves. I waited for the right moment. And when the laughter was loudest, when the room was at its peak of joy, I stood up. Glass in my hand. I cleared my throat. The room grew quiet. Everyone turned to me. I smiled. I looked around at every face. And then I began. Thank you all for being here tonight. 40 years. It's a milestone. And I couldn't imagine spending it with anyone else but all of you. Friends. Family. People I trust. People clapped. Glasses were raised. My wife beamed. She thought I was about to thank her. She thought I was about to praise her for all the effort she put into this night. But instead, I twisted the knife. But tonight isn't just about celebrating. Tonight, it's about honesty. Because while I've been out there risking my life as a firefighter, my wife has been lighting a very different kind of fire. Gasps. Murmurs. I could feel the tension explode in the room. My wife's face drained of color. She froze. I held up my glass. You see, while I was out working late shifts, she was busy at home. With someone else. I found the proof. The pills. The messages. The lies. She stumbled toward me, whispering harshly, "Stop it. What are you doing?" Her hands trembling. She tried to grab my arm, to silence me. But I pulled away. "No," I said loudly. "Not this time. You had your secrets. You had your shadows. But tonight, everyone sees the truth." The room was dead silent. Guests looked at her in shock. Some covered their mouths. Others whispered to each other. Phones came out, people started recording. My wife's eyes darted around the room, desperate, pleading. "It's not what it looks like. He's lying. He's drunk. He doesn't know what he's saying." But her words were empty. Everyone could see the panic in her eyes. Everyone could feel the weight in my voice. And in that moment, I knew, there was no going back. This was just the beginning. The room was frozen. You could hear the faint hum of the fridge in the kitchen. That's how quiet it became. My wife stood there. Her eyes wide. Her mouth opening, but no words coming out. I took a slow breath. Held my glass high. And I continued. "You see. I thought this marriage was built on trust. But while I worked 24-hour shifts, while I crawled through smoke to save strangers, my wife was crawling into someone else's bed." Gasps again. Someone dropped a fork onto a plate. The sound rang louder than it should have. I pointed at her. She bought emergency pills. She wrote messages. She whispered the words that used to be mine, into another man's ear. I paused. Let it sink in. Every pair of eyes turned to her. Not to me. To her. She shook her head, whispering, "Stop, please. Not here. Not like this." But I wasn't finished. Not even close. I lowered my glass. Spoke slowly. Every word like a hammer. This isn't just my birthday. This is her judgment day. Phones were out now. Recording. Live streaming. I saw one of my buddies from the firehouse already typing in a caption. She reached for me again. "Let's talk outside. Please. You don't understand. I stepped back. No. Everyone deserves to understand. You played the perfect wife in front of them. But behind closed doors? You were something else entirely. A murmur rippled through the crowd. My mother shook her head, her hands covering her mouth. My brother muttered, "Jesus Christ." And then, the first voice from the crowd. A friend shouted, "Is this true?" My wife spun, desperate. "It's not. He's making it sound worse than it is. He's twisting things. He's..." But she stopped. Because I pulled my phone from my pocket. Unlocked it. Held it high. On the screen. Her texts. Bright. Clear. Undeniable. I read aloud. "Last night was amazing. I miss your hands. I can't wait to see you again." The room erupted. Not with laughter. Not with cheers. But with a sickening silence. That silence that comes when truth is too heavy to breathe through. Her face went pale. She tried to grab the phone. I pulled it away. "Everyone deserves to know who you really are," I said. "You think I'd keep this quiet?" "No. Not tonight." She backed away. Her voice cracking. "You don't know what this will do to us. To me. To the kids." And I snapped. "Finally. You should have thought about that before you invited another man into your life. Before you threw away 20 years of marriage. Before you lied to everyone here." My hand shook as I pointed at her. This is who she really is. Not the wife. Not the mother. Not the friend you thought you knew. She is a liar. And she is a cheat. The crowd stirred. Whispers spread like wildfire. One woman shook her head, disgusted. Another muttered, "Unbelievable." My wife covered her face. Her shoulders trembled. Tears welled up in her eyes. But I didn't flinch. Because I remembered every night I came home exhausted. Every night she turned away. Every excuse. Every cold shoulder. Every lie. This was my moment. And I wasn't letting her escape it. I slammed the glass down on the counter. It cracked. The sound echoed. "Party's over," I said. For her. The guests didn't move. They waited. Watched. Some still recording. Hungry for the next word. She finally whispered, "Please, stop. You're humiliating me." And I leaned close. Low enough that only the first row of people could hear. That's the point. Then I straightened up. Looked around the room. For years, she made me feel like I wasn't enough. Like something was wrong with me. But tonight, I'm showing all of you the truth. It wasn't me. It was her. People nodded. Some put their drinks down. Nobody smiled anymore. I turned back to her. This marriage is over. This party is over. And you? You're over. Her knees buckled. She caught herself on the table. Eyes red. Mascara running. But I didn't stay to watch her break down. I walked past her. Through the crowd. Out the front door. Behind me, I heard gasps. Voices. Questions. And her cries. But I didn't turn back. Not once. Because when you walk out of a burning building, you don't look over your shoulder. You keep walking. You breathe. You live. And in that moment, I felt more alive than I had in years. I stepped into the night air. Took a deep breath. and smiled. For the first time in a long, long time, I felt free. The night after the party was quiet. Too quiet. The laughter was gone. The music was gone. All that remained was the echo of her crying. And the sound of my footsteps leaving. I didn't go back inside. Not that night. Not the next day. I stayed at my brother's place. He didn't ask questions. He just poured me a drink. And let me sit in silence. But silence only lasts so long. Because soon, the phone calls began. Friends. Neighbors. Even my captain at the firehouse. All of them had seen the videos. The confrontation. Her face. Her shame. It was everywhere. Facebook. TikTok. Shared and reshared. Tens of thousands of views. She had wanted privacy. But what she got was exposure. And I wasn't done yet. You see, my wife's lover wasn't just any man. He wasn't some stranger from a bar. He was someone closer. Someone who should have known better. He was a coworker. A man from her office. Married himself. Kids. A reputation he wanted to protect. And that's where I found my leverage. I called him. Direct. No hesitation. He answered, voice shaking. Look, man, it's not what you think. I cut him off. Oh, it's exactly what I think. And now the whole world knows. But here's the thing. Your wife doesn't. Your boss doesn't. Not yet. Silence. Pure silence. I could almost hear him sweating through the phone. Then he whispered, please, don't. But I wasn't here to grant mercy. I was here to make sure every single person who crossed me paid in full. You'll resign, I said. You'll step down from that cushy position you brag about. And you'll do it quietly. No explanations. No excuses. Or I release everything. He stammered. You wouldn't. I smiled. Oh, I would. I already did it to her. You think I won't do it to you? A long pause. Then a broken voice. Fine. I'll resign. I hung up. No goodbye. No sympathy. One down. One to go. Now, her. I didn't storm back in. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. No. I waited. Because timing is everything. 3 days later, divorce papers were ready. I had been preparing for this. Gathering evidence. Bank statements. Screenshots. Enough to crush her case before it even began. When I walked back into that house, she looked like a ghost. Pale. Shaken. Eyes swollen from crying. She tried to speak. Please, we can fix this. Don't do this to the kids. Don't. I laid the papers down. Firm. Cold. This isn't me doing it. This is you. You lit the fire. Now burn in it. She reached for me, desperate. I made a mistake. One mistake. I laughed. One mistake? It was never one. It was hundreds of texts. Dozens of lies. Nights that stretched into weeks. Weeks that stretched into years. One mistake? I said. No. This was a choice. Again and again. And now, you'll live with the consequences. Her tears didn't move me. Her apologies didn't move me. Because I remembered the pills. I remembered the messages. I remembered the way she smiled at me while lying straight to my face. And in that moment, something inside me turned cold. The man she married was gone. The man who would forgive was gone. I told her the truth. I will take the house. I will take the kids. I will take every piece of dignity you thought you still had. And when people look at you, they won't see a wife. They won't see a mother. They'll see a liar. They'll see a cheater. She fell to her knees, begging, sobbing. But I stepped back, unmoved. Save your tears, I said. You'll need them when the court dates arrive. And then I walked out. Again. But this time, not as a broken man. Not as a victim. This time, I walked out in control. In power. In freedom. Because revenge isn't about screaming. It isn't about fists or violence. It's about precision. It's about patience. It's about letting them destroy themselves, while you watch. And as I drove away, her cries echoing behind me, I felt nothing but peace. Because she took my love. She took my trust. But I took her future. And that was the better trade. Weeks passed. But the echoes of that night never faded. The videos kept spreading. People at the firehouse still whispered when I walked past. Neighbors glanced at me when I drove by. Some with pity. Some with respect. But no one looked at her the same again. She became a shadow in her own community. Grocery stores turned cold. Parents pulled their kids away from her children. Friends stopped calling. That was her new life. The life she built with her lies. And me? I started over. It wasn't easy. Divorce is never easy. The courtrooms. The papers. The endless questions. But I walked into those hearings with my head high. With evidence in my hands. And steel in my voice. The judge saw everything. The texts. The pills. The timeline of deception. And when the gavel struck, I didn't just win. I claimed everything that mattered. The house. Custody of the kids. The stability I had worked for. She walked out with nothing. Not even her pride. Some people would say I was cruel. That I should have forgiven. That I should have tried to rebuild. But they weren't there. They didn't see the look on her face when she thought I was blind. They didn't hear the whispers she gave to another man. They didn't feel the knife she drove into my back every single night she lied. Forgiveness wasn't an option. Not anymore. And so I rebuilt. Piece by piece. Mornings were hard at first. The silence in the kitchen. The empty chair at the table. The ghost of what used to be. But over time, the silence became peace. The emptiness became space. And the ghost vanished. I filled my life with new routines. Early runs before the sun rose. Coffee at the same diner every morning. Shifts at the firehouse where I poured myself into the work. And slowly, people began to notice the change. One day, an old friend clapped me on the back. "You look lighter, man. Like you finally dropped the weight." I smiled. Because he was right. I had. Then came something I didn't expect. Her replacement. No, not another woman. Not yet. But a new fire. A new drive. For years I had put everything into her. My time. My energy. My trust. Now, I put it into myself. Into my kids. into the future. I started fixing up the house. Room by room. Paint on the walls. New furniture. Fresh life where old lies had rotted. The kids laughed again. The house felt alive again. And me? For the first time in decades, I felt alive again too. But she spiraled. I heard the whispers. She moved into a small apartment. Struggled to keep her job. Lost friends. Lost family. Even the man she risked everything for? He disappeared. Vanished from her life. As if she had never meant a thing to him. That's the cruel truth. Cheaters throw away everything. For people who never planned to stay. And she was left with nothing. Sometimes she tried to call. Tears in her voice. Please. I'm sorry. Can we just talk? I never answered. Because what could she say? There are no words that so are wound that deep. There are no apologies that erase betrayal. So I let the phone ring. And then I let it go silent. One evening, I sat on the porch. The sun setting. Kids playing in the yard. And I realized I had survived the fire. The fire she started. The fire she thought would consume me. But instead, it consumed her. And I walked out untouched. Stronger. Sharper. Free. That night I whispered to myself. She thought she broke me. But she only built me. Because that's what betrayal does. It burns. It scars. But if you survive it, you rise harder than before. So this is my story. A story of lies. Of betrayal. Of fire and ashes. But more than that. It's a story of freedom. I gave her everything. She gave it away. And in return, I took it back. Now, every birthday that comes, I don't think of her. I don't think of the lies. I think of the moment I stood in front of everyone. Told the truth. Burned the mask she wore for years. And walked away. Not broken. Not weak. But free. Because sometimes, the best gift you can give yourself is letting the fire consume what no longer deserves to stand.